point while Greg berated his son. There then seemed to be a point where the father made a snarky comment referencing how he and his wife should have never procreated, and this may have been what sent Brandon over the edge. This would lead to Brandon grabbing an aluminum baseball bat, where he then followed his father into his bedroom and attacked him. Their mother, Audrey Fisher, heard her husband's whimpering. She then followed the noises, running towards the bedroom, where she met her son in the dark hallway outside the room. Brandon, in a state of psychosis, went after his own mother, attacking her with the bat. Audrey begged her son to stop hurting her, and finally he would yield, dropping the bat and leaving his parents' house in Galloway, New York, fleeing by way of his parents' car that he had stolen. Audrey, who suffered a broken arm, dragged herself to the neighbor's house and called 911. Her husband Gregory had been hurt so badly that he lost his left eye and sustained numerous head injuries. While on the run, Brandon would write a post on his RuneScape Facebook page stating, quote, "Goodbye, my RuneScape friends. Real life just threw a curveball. Don't know if I'll ever be online again. Don't bother asking what happened." And on his personal Facebook page, Brandon would also state, quote, "Sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes people are pushed past their breaking point. Just remember this, there's always two sides, and things aren't what they seem. I'm sorry, I guess people were right about me. Thank you to all my amazing friends for everything that you've done for me. I wouldn't have made it this far through all the shit without y'all." 40 minutes later, there would be another update from Brandon where he wrote, "K, at a spot with free Wi-Fi. I'm not quitting RuneScape. I'm simply losing my capability to play. I left my home, and RuneScape is the last of my concerns. I made this post so that all my very good friends here know at least something, other than me going completely quiet." And then Brandon would give one more final update where he wrote, "Another rest stop, another comment. Can't play RuneScape from jail." But it would be these Facebook posts that would be his undoing, as authorities were able to cross-reference the posts and find exactly where he was, locating him in Buffalo near the Canadian border. He was found and arrested on February 17th of 2015. On February 9th, 2015, Brandon made his first appearance in court, where a judge ruled that he must attend a mental health evaluation before the case could proceed. The parents were reported to be in critical condition, but were expected to make a full recovery. While in jail and awaiting trial, one of the things that would be used against the RuneScape player in court was his jailhouse phone calls to his family, where he stated, quote, "Dad lost an eye, but he has another. I should have finished the job," unquote. He was also accused of attempting to manipulate his mother into changing her story so that Brandon looked more of a sympathetic figure. And on September 15th, 2015, Brandon attacked a fellow inmate with what's been described as a martial arts kick. He tried to say that the attack was in self-defense, but surveillance cameras would show the complete opposite, and that it was completely unprovoked. Later, Brandon would plead guilty to his attack on the inmate, and in regard to the attack on his mother and father, he pled guilty to 2 counts of felony second-degree assault and 1 count of fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon, a misdemeanor. On September 30th, 2016, Brandon Fisher was sentenced to 10 years in prison with 5 years of probation to follow his prison term. Many of his family members were in court while the verdict was read and stated that they loved him and would still support him. Quote, "Our family supports Brandon. 10 years is a long time, but I will be there with him every moment. I just hope he gets the help he needs." Brandon's mother surprisingly spoke up for her son, claiming that Brandon underwent years of abuse from his father, and it had just reached a boiling point. His mother would also argue that her son had autism that would cause spurts of anger. One of the only things that calmed him down was hitting a tree with an aluminum bat, according to her. Brandon also addressed the court stating, quote, "I am far from perfect and I made a big mistake. I was traumatized by my crime, and my first 10 months in jail I was angry and confused, trying to justify what I did in my mind. I used my time in jail to grow from a boy to a man. I've come a long way." He also says, quote, "Dad, I'm so sorry for hurting you. Mom, I love you. Stay strong. Someday I will be back and we can create more beautiful memories. We will heal as a family, I promise." After sentencing, Brandon addressed the media when asked about his parents. Quote, "I love them very much. I'll be home in 6 years," adding that he wouldn't serve the full sentence because he would get good time. Roblox. It's an online gaming platform developed for children and sadly has a history of being a nest for pedophiles who hide within the ranks of these child players and strike when you're least expecting it. One particular incident involved a Roblox community developer, 23-year-old Arnold Castillo of Paterson, New Jersey, who went by the online alias Jacob Shedletsky, which was a name derived from John Shedletsky, one of Roblox's founders. Arnold had been developing a Sonic simulator within Roblox starting in 2017, which had gained a bit of notoriety online, and he became one of Roblox's top player developers. Although early on there were signs that Castillo wasn't all there. Like at one point he had falsely claimed to fans in his community that he was John Shedletsky's brother, who was one of the creators of Roblox itself. This obviously wasn't true, most players didn't believe him, but with so many kids around, there were a few that took it seriously. Over the years, Castillo continued to climb the ranks of the player-developer community. His Discord would explode to the point where the server became a hub for the game of sorts. A hub that inevitably grew quite inappropriate given the context of it being filled with children. Allegations of unchecked sexual talk between minors and adults occurred on the server, and Castillo is said to have done nothing to stop it. In fact, he was actually encouraging it. Many members that were active in the server have stated that predators invaded it eventually, and a weird fetish culture around minors developed. And one of the main enablers and leaders of this fetishization was Arnold Castillo himself. At one point, it was reported that Arnold even went as far as to personally message a 12-year-old girl, and he would get called out for this behavior within a scandalous Google Doc that was trying to expose him. On September 16th of 2020, Arnold would respond with his own YouTube video.
This is a serious video, so there's no room for satire in this. I just want to get straight to the point. Let me start by apologizing for the things I've said. I know I shouldn't have said those things regardless of the context. My sense of humor has always been very harsh, dark humor, if you will. And while it doesn't excuse my behavior, it does reveal that I had no intention on moving on any of the things I said. It was pretty common knowledge that these jokes were being made in my community. Maybe not to the extent it actually occurred, but definitely known. So far as to the point where I was known as the old man with kids in his basement.
In the video, Castillo would also attempt to defend himself by recruiting various individuals he allegedly worked with and had them speak on his behalf, with them giving testimonies in an attempt to dispel the pedo allegations and salvage the guy's public image.
Hey there, my name is Charlie. After seeing this, I want to make my point clear. I've had these things happen to me in the past, as I've spoken to him in that way. I tried forcing explicit content out of him, guilt-tripping him a lot of the time, and making him feel bad. However, he never took advantage of my young age at 12. I was 12 at the time.
I am dead inside Sonic. I've known Jaden for the past 4 or 5 years. Jaden's humor has never been the greatest. He has no doubt taken some jokes a bit too far, but never to the point of illegal action. He understands the clear dividing line between jokes and serious, harmful actions against others. Yes, the jokes he had made were very inappropriate and should have never been said to a minor, but the jokes were never more than just jokes and were completely taken out of context.
Castillo even goes on to blame a 12-year-old in a server for the allegations he was facing, essentially trying to say the minor wasn't a good person and that they couldn't be trusted. You know, basically victim blaming. Complete degenerate talking points that no one should be fucking taking seriously.
Red, what I said to you earlier about my apology was completely sincere, and I hope you can someday let go of this hatred. However, I will call you out on this because you cannot be claiming to be an angel. Red has no problem admitting that she craves attention. Her behavior before anything else really just kind of screams it.
Now, in a community of children, initially Castillo's bullshit defense worked at quelling the allegations, and it looked like he may just get away with grooming minors. But some adults within the Roblox community, including the YouTuber Ruben Sim, would eventually catch on to the story and became outraged at what they saw as outright grooming. Grooming by a popular Roblox community developer. Seeing that official Roblox staff weren't doing anything about this community developer, Ruben and others called them out, organizing tweets, videos, and Google Docs with evidence against who they believed was a pedophile taking advantage of the youth. This would be a success, and Arnold's main Roblox account was deleted after Ruben Sim had gotten in touch with the company. Yet, unfortunately, this wouldn't stop the guy from making money due to his main account not being a main source of his income. The man used other accounts as a developer and would claim that his revenue had actually tripled since the controversy. The dude was being braggadocious. He's like, y'all can't fucking stop me. There would be a continued back and forth between Ruben Sim and Arnold Castillo, which involved Ruben making many attempts to expose the guy to the official Roblox staff. But his complaints mostly went on deaf ears. The grooming server would persist despite all inquiries. There were certainly many occasions where Roblox could have intervened and stopped Castillo because they had his identity, but they never would. Ruben Sim and others remain frustrated by this lack of understanding and urgency regarding children's safety. However, in 2022, some would notice that Castillo was no longer active in his Discord and would begin to wonder if something had finally happened to him. Well, after doing a bit more digging into this mysterious matter, they found that Arnold had actually been arrested by the FBI. Turns out prior to this, Arnold Castillo had become infatuated with a 15-year-old girl in his Discord. Using his alias, Jacob Shedletsky, from January to May of 2022, Arnold is reported to have communicated and groomed the 15-year-old through social media and gaming applications, using Instagram, Roblox, and Discord. He began messaging her privately and sending her large sums of money, buying the girl's anime artwork using Cash App, along with purchasing items on Amazon, such as an artist glove for her drawing tablet, a Max Smart tablet drawing stand, and a Wacom Mobile Studio Pro 13 Windows 10 computer that was delivered to her parents' home in Indiana. He was a fucking sugar daddy groomer is what he was. You know, basically an attempt to spoil or sugar up this young minor to get her favor, leading her to believe that Arnold had clout and could connect her with potential employment opportunities in the online gaming and art sphere. He then reportedly used his leverage as a prominent Roblox community developer to coerce the minor into sexually explicit conversations while turning her against her family. You know, telling the girl that they were in love and that, you know, her mom and dad were just trying to ruin the relationship that they had. The girl's family members were starting to get worried as their daughter was receiving gifts on the internet, and Castillo used that to his advantage, twisting the narrative and making it seem like the family was trying to come in between their relationship. Things would grow even darker when Arnold concocted a plan to transport the minor across multiple states to his residence in New Jersey by way of Uber. Arnold would use the app to hire a driver in New Jersey and then transported the girl 700 miles to his residence, paying the driver $500 through Cash App before they left in New Jersey and another $500 when they returned with the victim. I don't know if the driver noticed anything suspicious or maybe he just figured he was transporting a girl to her family. I don't know. Regardless, this depraved mission was a success, and the 15-year-old girl was picked up in Indiana and taken to Castillo's house in New Jersey. While within the confines of Arnold's home, the minor was sexually abused multiple times to the point where Arnold even hired an Uber to purchase Plan B for her in an attempt to prevent pregnancy. It's also reported that while she was with him, Arnold confined the girl to a small room where he kept his eye on her at all times, controlling her movements and where she went, along with access to food and basic necessities. While this was all going on, the young girl had been missing for days, and the parents of her were absolutely worried. They would report her missing on May 3rd of 2022 and hope for the best. Now, the family was well aware of Castillo, and he would become the #1 suspect. But it is to note that Castillo wasn't using his real name. He was going by his alias, Jacob Shedletsky. Police even conducted an interview through phone call on May 5th with Arnold, who lied to law enforcement, stating that he had no idea where she was and that she must have run away. However, authorities would finally catch up to Arnold on May 11th of 2022, after FBI agents were staking out his house and caught Arnold walking with the girl in front of his house. They then swooped in, recovered the girl, and arrested Arnold Castillo on the spot. While searching the pedophile, officers found several unopened condoms in his pocket, and when taken in, Castillo would confess everything to authorities. FBI Indianapolis Special Agent Herbert J. Stapleton would have this to say. Quote, "This was a horrible nightmare for both the child lured away from her home under false pretenses and the family who was left to worry about where she was, if she was safe, and if they would ever see her again. The FBI and our partners will always do everything in our power to safely recover a child and reunite them with their loved ones." United States Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana, Zachary A. Myers, would also say this, quote, "No parent should have to endure 8 torturous days not knowing if their child is alive or dead, only to learn that a stranger used social media and other online tools to groom their child and spirit them across the country. This defendant is a stone-cold manipulative child predator who used the tools of social media and gaming to abuse a vulnerable child and then obstructed the efforts of law enforcement officers to secure her a safe return home. I commend the outstanding work of law enforcement agencies along with the FBI, Indianapolis, and Newark field offices for working around the clock for 8 days to bring the victim home safely. Thanks to the outstanding work of these law enforcement officers, this dangerous predator will be unable to harm another child. After Arnold was arrested, he faced 2 life sentences for kidnapping a minor, and in August of 2023, Castillo was sentenced to 15 years in prison after pleading guilty to transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and coercion and enticement of a minor. It seemed that Ruben Sims' attempt to get in touch with the authorities were not in vain, as they were able to cross-reference his reports with the other arrest, and thus Arnold Castillo is behind bars. Although the non-existent efforts of Roblox are still being reported on to this day, and the company continues to be criticized over this matter. Habbo Hotel. Most of you watching probably know of this game thanks to a famous internet historian video. It's a second lifestyle game developed for teenagers and boasts a large child player base. It's an MMO based around 2D graphics with blocky pixelated avatars where players navigate through virtual rooms while in a hotel. The game is operated by a Finnish company called Sulaki and was created in 2000. In-game, players can create their own character, decorate their own rooms, along with playing a multitude of games that are purchased by using Habbo credits, which have to be obtained with real-world cash along with special items bought inside the game itself. At the time of the story in 2007, 6 million people in over 30 countries were playing Habbo Hotel every month. Although the MMO is an incredible financial success, it has had some community controversy over the years. In-game scams and fraud attempts involving users' accounts getting hacked and the effort of stealing in-game belongings for real-world cash. Usually this involved hackers stealing stolen in-game furniture. The way hackers gained access was by creating fake Habbo Hotel websites intended to phish gullible account holders, tricking them into putting their login info into a fake website, thus unknowingly granting access of all of their items to a scammer. Now, early on during Habbo Hotel's infancy, scammers and hackers who swiped in-game items were able to get away with it pretty easily due to Habbo Hotel's terms of service, which stated that a player, quote, did not have any other interest, including no property, proprietary, intellectual property, or monetary interest in your virtual currency and virtual goods, which remain our content and property. Basically saying anything they steal isn't actually yours, and like you can't press charges because you never owned it. They own it. See, back then, the idea of digital currency had yet to really be fleshed out. Therefore, anything in-game wasn't actually yours. It was Habbo Hotels, who could theoretically do whatever they wanted with it. However, soon that would all change and the crimes would begin to be reported and prosecuted. While investigating these attacks, authorities would soon find out that quite a few were teenagers. In November of 2007, Dutch police in Amsterdam were able to nab a 17-year-old who was accused of stealing around 4,000 euros worth of virtual furniture that was bought with real-world money. 5 other 15-year-olds were also questioned, and all 6 teens were suspected of working together as they phished accounts and obtained access to various Habbo Hotel accounts, where they then nefariously logged into these profiles and swooped up all the furniture, transferring the items into their own virtual virtual rooms in-game. A spokesman from the operators of Habbo Hotel said, quote, "The accused lured victims into handing over their Habbo passwords by creating fake Habbo websites. In Habbo, as many other virtual worlds, scamming for other people's personal information, such as usernames, has been problematic for quite a while. We have had much of this scamming going on in many countries, but this is the first case where the police have taken legal action. 3 of the minors would be convicted by a Dutch judge on April 2nd of 2009. The theft of accounts through phishing would continue to become a massive problem for Habbo Hotel, as in 2010 there were numerous investigations in Finland for phishing attacks on the website. There was also another incident involving RuneScape, in which 2 boys in the Netherlands, a 14 and a 15-year-old, physically forced a 13-year-old boy to transfer them a magical amulet from RuneScape into their inventories, beating the kid up and threatening him with a knife. In 2012, the Dutch courts ruled that virtual items could be considered goods, which therefore meant that they could be stolen. As for the teenagers, not much is known given that they were minors at the time and their names were redacted. However, that said, as of now, the 17-year-old would be in his mid-30s, so you have to wonder what this guy is up to. Is he still scheming and hacking, or has he moved up to a normal life? Well, I guess we'll never know. Maybe he works at an Ashley furniture store selling real furniture. 14-year-old Greg Bednar of Caterham, England, was described as a relaxed and warm-hearted young boy that loves video games. He attended an evangelist church and was a member of the Air Training Corps as well. Breck seemed like an all-around wholesome kid who had an affinity for computers and games like Minecraft. But in 2013, Breck and his family's life would turn upside down and implode when a predator from the internet wriggled his way into Breck's personal life. 18-year-old Lewis Danes had begun a friendship online with the 14-year-old Breck through online servers of the game Minecraft, and later they would interact on TeamSpeak, which was basically Discord before Discord. Lewis had been running a hosting company providing service for players within the game, where he encountered Breck, and they quickly became friends in the summer of 2013. Lewis would basically become the ringmaster, and all of the other boys he played games with kind of worshipped him in a way, because he was older and had influence. However, things would get weird fast, as it's believed that Lewis started manipulating the younger boy along with other children, claiming that he was a computer genius who worked for the United States government. He claimed that he later moved to Greenwich, England, where he gave £2 million that he had made through Bitcoin to Syria, due to his distaste for American politics, apparently. Just basically posturing for the young, impressionable minors with lies that they thought he was cool. But soon his acts would grow more nefarious and malicious, influencing Breck into becoming anti-government and anti-religious, and this would lead to Breck turning against his family as well.
Religious thinking always anti-religion, and Breck can use specific phrases all the time. Lewis says I don't believe in God, so why should I have to go to church? Lewis says I don't make any messes, so why should I have to clean up? Lewis says I can get a Microsoft apprenticeship through him, and so I won't have to finish school. And it was always have this preface that Lewis said, and it was like, God, who is this person?
You see, Danes had portrayed himself as someone who could aid Breck's career, taking him under his wing and basically grooming him into a successful computer whiz and businessman like he was, who would have the ability to get a lot of wealth. Breck took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and was incredibly influenced by Lewis. In fact, it got so bad that Lewis even wrote letters pretending to be Breck that Breck would give to his mother. At some point, his mother, Lauren LaFave, began to grow worried about her son and his relationship with this older online friend. There were times where she even established a communication with Lewis, talking to him through their computer, and during this he'd be super polite and understanding. But Lauren would later describe him as two-faced, because the moment their conversations would end, he'd go right back to trying to manipulate her son against her.
And I did try to talk to this Lewis guy, I actually did, and you know, he's sort of two-faced, so we'll talk, but then afterwards, you know, he'll just turn on me again.
There was even an instance where Lewis attempted to dictate Lauren's parenting, which made the mother extremely frustrated.
It got so bad that I said, well, I just need to talk to him. And we went back and forth on live messaging with Lewis telling me how to parent Breck. And at the end of the conversation, I got fed up. I said, why are you telling me how to raise my son? I said, you know, Breck has told me that your parents weren't there for you, but I am there for Breck, and everything that I do is because I care about him and I love him.
She saw a dangerous pattern and at one point decided to take Breck's computer away along with his phone. But when she had his phone, she started noticing texts of Breck's friends telling the boy to, quote, be calm and don't listen to your mother. This absolutely terrified her, and she felt it best to dial the authorities in England and make sure they knew what was going on. So on December 17, 2013, she proceeded to make a call to the local police and report her concerns, where she made it clear that her son was being groomed for what she thought was sex. And she also felt that her son was being radicalized.
Good evening, sorry, please. How can I help?
Yes, I have a 14-year-old son, and there's an 18-year-old person, and I feel like he's being groomed. He's being turned against his family and schooling, and it's been ongoing for a while, and I'm getting really concerned that this person isn't actually who he says he is.
The operator would tell Lauren to make sure Breck had ceased all communication with Lewis and instructed her to tell Lewis to no longer contact her son and warn the older man that she had gotten in touch with authorities. The operator also said that in the meantime, they were going to cross-reference the name she was given to see if there were any criminal records on Lewis Daines. But reportedly, the authorities would not follow up, and things were beginning to get much, much worse. It seems that if they had searched a little deeper into Lewis Daines, they would have found that in 2011, there was a complaint filed against him accusing of raping a boy under the age of 16. It was reported that Lewis Daines was a secluded 18-year-old man who had spent time in foster care and spent his life living back and forth with his mother and father, and was now living alone after procuring a small amount of wealth. He would be accused of rape and sexual assault, but would never be convicted for these crimes. However, the charges did remain on his record. Although Breck's mother did everything in her power to separate her son from this despicable manipulator, the relationship between Breck and Lewis would unfortunately not stop, as they would continue to play games with one another behind Lauren's back, and in fact, the two even became closer over time. Closer to the point where they would meet in real life, due to Lewis creating this scenario where he was prepared to hand his multi-million-dollar company over to Breck so that he could run it. But for him to do so, they would have to meet in person, and that's where things took a sinister turn. On February 17, 2014, Breck would head out to Grays, Essex by way of taxi paid for by Lewis, and the destination was the man's flat. This is, of course, something he did not tell his family, because if they knew anything about this, there would be no way in hell they'd let it happen. Breck had led his father to believe that he was hanging out with a local friend and was going to spend the night. And this was a story constructed by Lewis and given to Breck. He wanted him to repeat this story. Quote, if your father asks where you're going on Sunday, say you're going to meet a friend who's 14 named Edward Bly and moved to Cairo last year with his mother when his parents split up. He was a good friend for the first part of year 9, and he's invited you over to his dad's house for the day while he's visiting his father in England, who lives in Caterham. His father also said that you might be able to stay the night depending on their plans. Also, in casual conversation, to have your father afford more support for you visiting a friend, say, I've spent too many half terms and holidays indoors. I'm going to spend this one outside with friends. That should help him understand and allow you to go. I mean, this is like textbook grooming, dude. Bro studied Epstein. The precise details of what happened within Daines' flat may never truly be known, but there reportedly was evidence of some sort of sexual interaction. And afterwards, Lewis proceeded to use duct tape to bind the boy's wrists and ankles, where he then took a knife and stabbed Breck in the throat, killing the innocent 14-year-old. But that wouldn't be all the guy did. Daines then took pictures of the sinister work and sent them to his online associates. These pictures would soon begin to spread to different friend groups online, and thus Breck's mother and father found out about their child's death when those photos were sent to them by other children. While pictures of his atrocious acts were spreading, Daines took a shower and calmly dialed the police to tell them that he had stabbed Breck while trying to stop him from taking his life, he says.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please. My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Daines. I'm 18 years old. He came to stay with me because he was feeling down. Adjacent to my bed, I have a chest drawer and a penknife on there. He picked it up, opened it, and then lost control. I grabbed a knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat.
When officers arrived at the location, they found that Lewis had submerged his computer equipment in water to hide evidence, and found Breck laying lifeless and bloody in the bedroom. During the investigation, authorities would find that Danes had purchased condoms, syringes, and duct tape online a month before the killing in preparation for Breck's visit, and even gave Breck a cell phone so that they could keep in contact with the false alibi just in case his parents became suspicious. Danes would eventually plead guilty in January 2015. Lewis Danes was convicted of murder and ordered to serve a minimum of 25 years in prison. If you ask me, that's light. The man shouldn't be able to see the light of day for the rest of his life. The murdered boy's mother would comment, "No amount of years behind bars will ever change the poisonous attitude and actions of a psychotic animal who can behave this way. No amount of years will bring back the lovely boy taken from us." It would also be revealed that Lauren's son had been murdered on her own birthday. Now, it wouldn't end here. Although prisoners are banned from communicating via social media and mobile phones, many began witnessing what appeared to be Lewis Danes blogging from behind bars. These blogs were open letters criticizing Lauren's behavior after her son's death. The first was an online blog that was allegedly posted by Lewis or someone pretending to be him in November of 2015, stating that Breck had suffered severe abuse at home along with other slanderous statements. The blog also claimed that Lewis had no intention of killing Breck and that he was planning to leave the country soon, but Breck saw his suitcases, freaked out, and a fight ensued. All of this is bogus though, because if you got in a fight that accidentally led you to killing your friend, why would you take pictures and post them in group chats where everyone could see? Also, why would you bind up the person you accidentally killed with tape? They're dead, so they couldn't do anything. The second blog was posted on January 26, 2016, in response to the announcement of the BBC documentary about the murder, where the alleged Lewis criticized Lauren for accepting donations 2 days after the killing, and also tried to poke holes in Lauren's story of how she stayed in bed during the year after her son's murder, alleging that the woman had actually traveled all around the world doing press tours. He also wrote that he didn't send any of the pictures of the body to Breck's siblings. Lauren would also launch a lawsuit against Surrey and Essex police forces over the handling of their case. After the Independent Police Complaints Commission found that the operator and her supervisor during Lauren's 999 call lacked the knowledge of dealing with grooming concerns, and it was also found that there were previous reports on Lewis Dane that were never followed up on. There have been many documentaries released about this sad case over the years. A stage play was even written about it in 2019 that centered around the grooming incident as reported by Breck's friends and family. This next story involves a Minecraft PvP hacking war that resulted in players getting thrown in jail. Allow me to introduce you to the Apophis Squad. The Apophis Squad were a collection of squatters and hackers that organized together to cause chaos on the internet. Their reputation preceded them, as they are known for making threatening phone calls, sending false reports of violent school attacks through email, as well as launching DDoS attacks on websites. They also serve as a hacker-for-hire hitman agency of sorts, and allegedly can be paid to swat your online enemies. But to be frank, their main focus isn't money or providing services, it's simply to create chaos. And in 2018, a few members of the Apophis Squad would do just that, putting many lives in danger. Between January and August of 2018, members of the Apophis Squad went on a complete rampage, cyber attacking over 86 school districts across the United States and the United Kingdom, sending multiple threats using spoofed emails, which included the mayor of London, where they used the mayor's email to send threats about rocket-propelled grenades being planted under school buses and landmines located within the school that would go off if school wasn't canceled. Apophis Squad is an interesting bunch. They claimed they were not happy with the way that, quote, schools let these boys and girls dress and not worship Allah the God. They said that students needed to follow the rules or be killed. An email from them read as follows: student report, staff only. Hello. A male student will be sent into your campus as you start the day. He will look normal, but what is in his bag is a bomb. The explosive that is in the 2 plastic bottles is called Antho. It's a very powerful explosive. The point is that when you put this school on lockdown, this student will set off the bomb and will kill every student in the room and maybe the rooms next to it. It got so bad that a Twitter account claiming to be represented by the Apophis Squad asked their followers for cash in exchange for them swatting their schools so they'd have a day off. All of this insanity caused hundreds of schools to be on high alert and evacuated as parents were told to collect their children after they had received false bomb threats. Later, however, Sky News would find that a lot of these emails were being spoofed to look like they were being sent from a Minecraft PvP server called Velt PvP. This server is apparently a server with the highly popular game mode in Minecraft called Hardcore Factions, which from what I can understand is an intense sort of Minecraft PvP mode where it's so competitive that like when guys get killed, they're willing to fucking hack each other to fuck each other over. It's so insane that there's like rings of people doing this. I want to give a shout out to the YouTuber Law and Lore, who does a good job exploring how Minecraft was involved with the Apophis Squad. Basically, it was like an all-out online war between two rival Minecraft servers that started out as harmless trolling and then escalated into frantic carnage that put many lives in danger. Sky News was even able to get in contact with one of the anonymous users responsible for sending the hoax emails. When asked if he regretted frightening school children, the hoaxer replied, "It's horrible. It's not the nicest thing." He added that the reaction from schools showed failures on their part and understood that there was a chance that he would be arrested. When asked if he felt remorse, he said, "Mentally, kind of yes. That's human nature, but with the community, you have to become very thick-skinned or you'll get exploited." He said that he wasn't going to lose sleep over it. The goal in turn was to make it look like the Velt PvP server was responsible for all the false reports and bomb threats, along with other rival Minecraft servers. In a statement, Velt PvP said, "We're being harassed by a group of cyber criminals that are trying to harass us in any way possible. We're extremely sorry for anyone who had to deal with this, but just know it's fake." This didn't stop here, however, as more crimes were committed, which included DDoSing and virtually vandalizing websites, basically holding the websites hostage and demanding Bitcoin as a ransom payment. Another member called the FBI field office in Omaha, Nebraska on several occasions, reporting that they were deploying Ebola or anthrax in the office, and also threatened to rape and kill the wife of FBI personnel. The squad also reportedly hacked and defaced a website from a university in Colombia, blasting a picture of Adolf Hitler on the website, holding a sign saying, quote, "You are hacked by Apophis Squad." The problem with attacks such as these is it's on the internet and it can be quite difficult to track down the culprits. But on this occasion, it seemed the hackers and swatters had left a massive trail of breadcrumbs leading right to them. You see, one of their last DDoS attacks was against the email website ProtonMail. And ProtonMail doesn't fuck around. They tracked all of the information of these guys' digital footprints down and sent them to respected agencies, such as the Feds. On the morning of February 12, 2019, Apophis Squad member, 20-year-old Timothy Dalton Vaughn of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who went by the name Wanted by Feds and Hacker R Us, was arrested. There was also a second member in the indictment, George Duke Cohen, who was 19 years old from Hertfordshire, United Kingdom, going by the name Digital Crimes. He had already been serving a prison sentence in Britain due to making a false report towards an airliner traveling from London to San Francisco. Both had been charged due to the cyber crimes that were reported back in 2018. It seems Vaughn had been caught bragging about his actions in the forum, stating that Apophis Squad had targeted over 2,000 schools in the United States and more than 400 in the United Kingdom. Duke Cohen was also alleged to be the one behind the Twitter account taking credit for the hoax emails on behalf of Apophis Squad. On April 28th of 2018, he tweeted that he was, quote, "planning to hit as many schools as possible on Monday. We hope that anyone just wants to have a day off or get out of that math test you have will email us any schools. We are working hard on getting 100,000 emails." Crazy thing is that George Duke Cohen had already been caught red-handed in 2018 and in turn was arrested, kicked out of school, and ordered not to get on the internet after making bail. But then he did it again and was thus arrested and again made bail. But that didn't stop him. Third time's the charm, and that's when he made the hoax threat towards the airlines and was finally arrested this this time kept in prison. Both Vaughn and Cohen were charged with conspiracy and 8 additional felony offenses, including making threats to injure interstate commerce and making interstate threats involving explosives. Vaughn is additionally charged with intentionally damaging a computer and interstate threat to damage a protected computer with intent to extort. However, this would not be all for Vaughn, as while searching his computers, the authorities found that he was in possession of nearly 200 sexually explicit images and videos depicting children, including at least one depicting the image of a toddler. In November of 2019, Vaughn pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to convey threats to injure, convey false information concerning use of explosive device, and intentionally damaging a computer, 1 count of computer hacking, and 1 count of possession of child pornography. In November of 2020, Vaughn was sentenced to 95 months for the CP possession and 60 months for the other charges. Cohen was only sentenced to 3 years in a UK prison in 2018, but faced possible extradition requests that reportedly were never pursued. His mother did say in an article from June of 2019 that, quote, "I am proud of the fact that he came clean. Prison is doing him good as he has to grow up." I'd like to again thank the Lick Me for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to get 20% off. And well, you made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comment section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.
Friendly Mosquito active.
Dusted him.
All objectives are under hostile control. Resecure immediately.
After weeks of evading police, the heat comes down on a high-profile gang member from Las Cruces, New Mexico, when officers receive a tip from a secret informant about his whereabouts. Led on a wild chase through the desert, officers scramble to protect their lives as they face a barrage of bullets that threaten the failure of the entire mission. In this intense standoff, it's now or never between the officers and the fugitive who will stop at nothing to escape. On the sweltering summer afternoon of June 23, 2023, the New Mexico State Police received crucial information that Bobby Crawford, a wanted felon, would be near a gas station. They seized the opportunity to finally catch him, but this seasoned criminal won't surrender without a fight.
Vehicle left the gas station heading northbound on Porter. Going to be turning on to Peachtree Hills. Head for Peachtree Hills. Light him up now. There he goes.
We're losing Charlie.
Go.
We're losing Alpha.
Good job, bro. He might get himself. Secure.
Effective fire.
This guy's possibly 10-8. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
10-3 the air. We got this car in pursuit. We're in the desert right now.
Okay.
Stop. Here.
Get your bloody fire. Semtex out.
Just hold on to him.
Going about 25. It's going to be a light, Chevy Suburban during the New Mexico.
Oh, shots fired, dude. He just shot. I think that was a pop. Back up, John. Slow down. Hold up. He's right here. Go get on him. Just don't get too close.
Stop, my computer's about to freeze, but I think we're okay.
Stand by. Slow
Bless
down.
it.
Slow down, John.
It was just one shot?
We don't know yet. We don't know if that was one, but I thought I heard a pop.
Okay.
While the New Mexico State Police are uncertain if the pop they heard was a gunshot, the possibility of it being one is quite real.
Mesa Drive. We're on Mesa Drive now, which is outside Desert Road. The side drive.
Okay, so you guys can see Mesa Drive now?
Yeah, we're on Mesa Drive now on the desert side. No,
okay.
Everything's surrounded by fence line and desert.
So many freaking, there's a lot of bumps everywhere.
Slow.
Yeah.
To the top.
Okay. Stop. So I'm gonna angle my truck this way, so you have cover. I'm gonna run back around, and we'll just have cover. Okay.
We'll wait for some. We won't wait for another unit.
Yeah, we need to wait for another unit.
You know the unit, so we can do a pit. Get him out here in the desert.
Luckily for the state police officers, they won't have to wait for long, as several units from the Las Cruces Police Department join them in the chase. The tension escalates as dispatch lists out some of the fugitives' most alarming charges.
Units for the agency assist, Mo comes back positive for contributing to the delinquency of a minor break. Failure to appear in possession of a weapon. Another one for contributing to the delinquency of a minor break. Probation violation for ag assault. Violation of a court order. They're all going to be extraditable.
Come on, step on it. Let's go. Let's go, Pat. Yes, we need a little more following distance. We're not racing each other. We're still westbound on Arroyo. Past the well run.
He just ran through a fence into a residential area.
God damn.
We have 2 people out here. All right, 48 with everybody. There's a lot of units.
While the Las Cruces PD catches up, the state police officers express concern about where Bobby Crawford may be leading them.
We literally just passed his house. So careful, big difference here.
Okay. Lights still on? Okay.
All right, we're gonna be westbound on Carrickson Road.
We got 35 miles.
Gonna be
Okay.
This is kind of nearby his house, right?
Yep.
This is nearby his house.
Yep. He's gonna barricade if he's able to get there.
Officers realize that Bobby is leading them into a familiar territory, which potentially gives him the upper hand in this high-octane chase.
He's going into his house. Go. Yep. Careful. Okay. We're in his property.
Now exited.
We're out of the property. We're back out on the road again. The vehicle is out of the residence.
Back into the desert?
Yeah, back into the desert.
Okay.
He's coming our way. Careful, bro. Careful. Come on. Careful, dude. He's coming right at us. Careful. Watch out.
Okay.
We got 2 people. Go. PD units. We got 2 in front of us now. We gotta go back.
Sergeants Doyle and Bowen team up to apprehend Bobby, focusing on boxing him in before he escapes. But fueled by desperation, Bobby has much more violent plans in store.
48 going down Arroyo. There's a citizen here in the desert. 48 with her. We're on hardball. Captain a bit.
Get on the line. Get your dog. I'm with you, Pat. We're getting a dog up. Good. We need drone. We need a drone.
Miraculously, the bullets intended for the officers missed their mark, but their safety still hangs in the balance. Bobby continues to remain in his car, posing a threat to police. Officers now need a better visual to tackle this precarious situation.
Drones coming out, moment right now. Drones are coming and the Bearcat.
I have incident command, give me all traffic. I need a drone. That's priority. That's correct. Confirm me, shots fired. He shot at us. We engaged. I don't know. The last time I shot us, we got down. Status is unknown. Shot at me. Sorry, I'm pissed. Nobody else, I'm off of Holman. We have enough units on scene. We're not taking shit. We're going to probe with the drone. Now bring the Bearcat up. Everybody on scene, we're going to hold what we have. The drone's going to get here. It's going to recon for us. Those units west of our traffic stop need to get out of there now.
It just so happens that Bobby is pitted within a short distance from an ongoing active shooter training exercise at a nearby middle school. Given the tense standoff, additional police units from the training are immediately deployed to the scene.
We're downrange right here. We're downrange? Yeah, this is downrange. We're downrange. All right, let's hop fences. Let's go all into the backyard. Do it now. Thank you. We have a couple of things. Changing back. Everybody out. Fire stage at the Alrighty. He shot at you. Alrighty. Show. Show me your hands!
They will not surprise me.
We're gonna keep stay here. We're gonna hold until everybody moves. I'll pull him back. I got both units. I got both units.
After them.
I got it. I'm good.
Dropping mag.
Finally, the officers are able to get a clear line of sight of Bobby.
Hey, we got movement in there, guys. She's back behind that unit. And you have cover till they get set.
I think you can see it from here. Like the chest going up and down. Yeah.
Get back!
Switching mags. The enemy close. Movement. Sitting up. Enemy UAV active.
Officers remain uncertain about the nature of the movement in the car, not wanting to risk any of the officers' lives further. They retreat, but they won't have a moment to breathe just yet, as this situation has more surprises in store.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just had malfunctions, man. I just had malfunctions. I'm pissed. I'm pissed that I had malfunctions. Where's the blip from?
Hey, go back! Get back!
One down.
Get back! He's dead.
Tossing Semtex. Changing mag.
Hold up, she's 15 right now. Stop. There we go.
Here, Mike. Keep cover.
Get out.
Why did you guys kill him?
Alright.
We got a lot going on. You're distracting us from what's going on. Shut up. I don't know yet.
The woman causing the disruption is Bobby's wife, Jackie, who has managed to arrive at the location of the showdown. Although her presence is a distraction for the police, she may hold the key to defuse the chaos. For now, getting visuals on Bobby holds top priority.
Okay, I'm moving. He's moving in the front. Just the shoulder, it's moving up and down.
Eyes up. Holding fresh mag.
Alright, he's definitely moving.
The drone pilot's confirmation that Bobby is alive and moving only leaves police anxiously waiting for the SWAT team to arrive and take control of the situation, the reality of the high-stress, near-death moment starts to sink in and takes its toll on Sergeant Bowen.
Alright, calm down. Take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, you saved me, man. Out of million malfunctions, you saved me. You had a clear glass. Thank you. He's not my You let me up too. Mission failed. You're good to base. I had too many malfunctions. I'm so upset right now. This? Yeah. I malfunctioned a lot. I was just clearing 1 or 2. I just heard the side. Thank you. You say not. I was just talking, waiting for it to catch my head. That's terrible. You good, Dick? Yeah, I just got other stuff going on. I got kids in the hospital right now, so I prefer that. Jake, you got your phone? Call Mama. My mom? Oh, no. Call Fernie? No, she's got some other going on right now. You were 21, let her know you're good. Oh, I'm good. She's got... I just had an OIS. I'm okay. John's seen right now. He's still alive inside the car. He's definitely got a gun. It's a whole thing. But I want to let you know I'm okay. All right. Yep. Love you. Bye.
Sergeant Bowen isn't alone in his distress. The shootout is affecting Officer Garcia as well.
You all right, though? Did someone check you already?
We're getting there. No, I was behind my door.
What's that?
I was behind my door after I got out.
Did you have any rounds fired towards you or no?
I just seen him coming out of this.
Just double check you, bro.
We came up to Wise because I thought West was unacceptable.
You don't feel anything wet, no? Yeah, just I'm gonna double check, bro. You got shot at?
As Bobby's wife Jackie is removed from the squad car, she continues to panic in desperation to save her husband.
Put you in my car.
I can't breathe.
Okay? Matt, what's your name? What's your name?
Jackie, baby.
Jackie. Okay, Jackie.
He just turned himself in. He just turned himself in.
Have a seat right there, okay? I understand that. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to figure things out.
You guys killed him. There's nothing to figure out. Please be alive, God. Please, I thank you. Please let him be alive. Thank you, Lord Jesus. He's not a bad man. Just let him be alive.
When the SWAT team arrives, they're brought up to speed with the plan of action as they gear up for the ambush.
Stay in there. All you're going to do is you're going to drive up, okay? Right. We're going to jump in the back. We're going to button up, and we're going to try to fight through to pin the driver's side door. Okay, we're going to try to pin that driver's side door. Everybody good on that? Good. All right.
Game on, boys. We up? We're up. We're up. We're all up. Moving. Easy. Lock it. Easy there. Tommy, there's no rush. There's no rush. Hey, turn your radio down. What side you gonna be on? Driver's side. 901, just confirming you want driver's side pin. Pin, driver's side door. Pin, driver's side door. White SUV, right? White SUV. Slow. Nice and easy. We're in armor, we're good. Reaching down on the floorboard, Manny. Yeah, moving on the driver's seat. You got him, Manny? You can't shoot through this rust. They're downrange, dude. I can't. Hey! Yeah, we got people downrange. What are we doing? We got officers downrange. Out of the way. How are we supposed to pin the door?
Okay, hey, roll up, Gavis.
Yeah.
And you're gonna bump that rear quarter panel, okay? Just to get us.
We have crossfire. We either need to make a decision.
Officers find themselves downrange once again after putting the SWAT team in a precarious situation. With everything moving so rapidly, they must act quickly to ensure their safety. Tensions are running high with the end slipping through their fingers.
Just bump the rear quarter panel. Yeah. Angle it. The driver's side rear. Driver's side rear.
Hey, shut up. Just one person tell him, right?
Okay. Single guy.
Right there.
Hands up, or you'll get shot! Right now! Exit out the vehicle and get shot! Step out now! Step out! Hey, have them move these cars to my left out of the way if we can. Hands up, you're gonna get shot! Step outside the vehicle, you will not be shot with your hands empty! Do it now!
We got a crossfire issue, right?
Yeah, I can't see.
They're right here, directly across from us. Officers,
You need to step outside the vehicle, you will be shot!
Jackie remains near the officers to aid in Bobby's removal from his vehicle, but only time will tell if she will assist or hinder the operation.
Get down.
He doesn't have any more bullets. There's no more bullets. There's no more bullets.
Over here, go over here, go over here. Run over there. Over there.
I can get him out of the truck. I promise you, I can get him out of the truck. That's the reason I'm here. Please don't kill him. I can get him out of there. Will somebody listen to me? I can get him out. That's why I'm here. He called me.
Right now, you're gonna remain calm, okay? You're gonna remain calm. It looks like he threw his hands up, okay? Okay, just listen to me, okay? What I need you to do right now is just remain patient, okay? I understand. I understand, man. So just relax. We're doing the best we can to get him removed safely, okay? So just bear with us, relax, and from there, once everything's said and done, we will not allow you back on scene.
Despite Jackie's pleas, officers are unwilling to risk anyone's life, including hers.
Step outside the vehicle now! Fall off the window! Stand by, let us get a posture real quick. Let us get a posture real quick, and then we'll figure it out. Hey, where's the shield? Shield. Yeah, swing it. I got it. Let me see who I can throw.
While the SWAT team is consumed with Bobby's extraction, the state police officer takes a moment and at last gives Jackie his attention as she offers up details that paint a different perspective of the pursuit.
What kind of gun was
There's
it?
a 45.
45? Okay, how many rounds were inside it?
10 in the clip, 1 in the chamber. He shot 2 at the house.
He shot 2 at the house?
Yes, that was on the phone with him. He shot 2 at the house and 3 dead.
Okay, so you were on the phone with him when he was in pursuit?
Yes.
Okay.
Jackie has managed to pique the officer's interest as she continues to divulge critical information.
He shot off the 2 rounds. Who was it directed towards?
People at the house. He's at the house.
Taking Bravo.
He's at the house.
UAV standing by.
He left the gas station right now.
Question recon.
Taking Bravo. Call his number. And he talks to, I can get him out. That's why he called me. He said he wasn't going to let me go back here. He wasn't going to let me get his call.
Is there any other firearms?
No, he just has the 145.
Bobby, just get out of the truck, please. Bobby, just get out of the truck. Baby, get out of the truck, please.
As Jackie cries for the safety of her husband, officers on the other side of the standoff have another shocking bombshell to drop.
We're gonna pin on call right there. How'd you guys make contact with him? Okay. So we went over there, and as soon as we got there, he was leaving. He went to the desert. We tried to initiate a traffic stop, and he took off.
While the SWAT team attempts an extraction, Sergeant Bowen is still reeling from his close encounter in the shootout. He tries to calm down as officers discuss what they know about Bobby Crawford.
Let him bleed out if he wants to bleed out. He can come out, he can surrender. Oh, he got something. That's all I can think about this job. What's his name?
Crawford. The guy we've been looking for. They've been all... He's the shooter. 5'4". Do they know that? They don't.
Surprisingly, Sergeant Bowen and the other officers have put themselves in harm's way, risking their lives without even knowing who they were up against. On the other hand, the SWAT team is now on the offensive to get Bobby out.
Objective Bravo secure.
places his hands outside of the driver's side window.
We're taking out.
Still no response. On you.
The enemy took Charlie. We're taking Charlie. We're losing Alpha.
On you. Get to cover. Hey. You have another one?
Yes, yes.
Take your fire.
Securing Bravo.
That works.
Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back.
Switching mags.
Hostile hold all objectives. Get a move. Objective Charlie secure.
Now that the officers on the scene have gotten a whiff of the gas for themselves, the SWAT team tries again to throw another canister into the vehicle, hoping it will draw Bobby out of the car. As the police wait for the gas to take effect, Sergeant Bowen remembers what he left behind in his police car and alerts the other officers.
Hey, gents. If for some reason he squirts east, please don't shoot my car. My dog's in there.
You got to do what you got to do to keep yourself safe. But please try not to kill my dog, okay? But you guys come first.
Back behind the Bearcat, the SWAT team prepares to throw more gas and a flashbomb to get Bobby out of the vehicle.
Hey, flashbang on the driver's side as soon as we go up to deploy the gas.
Yep, one. Then other one.
He's taking Bravo.
Ready? MDD. You gonna get it tied down?
Bravo. Taking Bravo.
The officers, this long-intense standoff finally appears to have an end in sight.
Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back. Securing objective. Getting hit hard. Objective Bravo secure. Taking Alpha. Securing objective Charlie. Bravo.
You gotta keep crawling to us so we can help you out.
Take it, sexy boy.
If you don't keep crawling, I'm gonna send the dog. He's gonna bite you. So I need you to keep coming.
Just keep doing what
Mission
you're
failed.
doing, man.
Return to
Almost
base.
there.
I need you more. Keep coming. We're almost there. Just past the wheel well. Keep coming. Let's go. Moving. Hold. Yeah, I got you. Roll. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
There you go, buddy. Look at this stuff where you hit, man.
Where's it hurt?
Close. Hold on.
While some of the SWAT officers tend to the injured Bobby, other members of the team advance to clear his vehicle. Meanwhile, Bobby's clothes are cut away, revealing the extent of his wounds.
I got 2 gunshot wounds to the left. I'm gonna need another chest seal, Dave, if we have one. Search. Yeah, I think it's safe, right? Vehicle's cleared. If the vehicle's clear, we can bring him up behind it. Sit up.
Sit up.
Sorry, I'm gonna need you to sit up.
As medics are en route, the residents in the surrounding neighborhood are growing impatient with the blockades.
I have $500 worth of groceries from Walmart. I need to get the Starview. It's just...
I know, but man, this thing's locked down right now. We can't let you through. Try.
I'm warning you right now. If you go any further than this, I'm arresting you right now, man. I ain't gonna put up with the.
Finally, Jackie receives the update she's been praying for.
This was a shooting.
I understand.
He's alive.
I understand that.
He's alive. He's going to go to the hospital. Okay? This gentleman from state police and our investigators are going to talk to you, all right? Are you going to act like a young lady and be
Yes,
polite,
may I
cordial?
say goodbye to him before you go?
No, you may not. No, you may not. He has a crime scene right now.
May I go to my car and leave then?
No, you may not.
As the EMTs arrive, they assess just how severe Bobby's injuries are.
1 exit. We'll check 1 exit and 3 entries. The exit's just a little bit slow. The exit's a little bit lower. So you have 3 entries coming in here and 1 exit right here.
What are you doing?
Team deathmatch. You're clear to engage any and all hostiles in the AO.
Get it. We'll be moving now.
Bobby is airlifted to the hospital, leaving Jackie behind to reflect on the day's events.
He's just tired of running. I think he was hoping that they would kill him.
Police prepare to transfer Bobby from the hospital. Another possibility of an attack illuminates right there.
Just for information.
Push your bloody fire!
Although Bobby suffered multiple gunshot wounds, he would go on to survive his injuries. However much Jackie may have done to help him, it would be Bobby's reckless actions that put the lives of officers and the public in danger that turbulent day. Some of his prior offenses include trafficking controlled substances, fraudulent use of a credit card, and forgery. For the crimes committed on June 23, 2023, Bobby Charles Crawford was convicted on February 21, 2024, on 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree, 2 counts of aggravated assault upon a peace officer with a deadly weapon, aggravated fleeing from a law enforcement officer, and shooting at or from a motor vehicle. He was sentenced to a total of 54 years and is currently held at Northwestern New Mexico Correctional Center.
I'm reloading.
Friendly UAV on station.
What's up, guys? My name is Ace, and today it's time for part 2 of my final review for Modern Warfare 3. In the first part, we talked about what Modern Warfare 3 did right and the things I liked about the game. Today's video is going to be the opposite, where I talk about what Modern Warfare 3 did wrong, in my opinion, and the things that I didn't like about this game. Now, a few things to cover before we get into this. Just like with the first episode, these are all just my opinions. Feel free to disagree. If you do, please let me know why you disagree down below. Also, something that I feel is important to mention here is I actually do like Modern Warfare 3. In fact, in my opinion, this is the best Call of Duty game we've had in quite a few years now. It is my favorite COD in the modern era of COD. And therefore, even though this video may end up being longer than the first video, that often is the case, that's typically just due to the fact that it takes longer to explain why I don't like something, compared to basically just listing out things that I do like, since that doesn't require nearly as much explanation. Also, just a quick note I wanted to throw in here, just because I'm doing these final review videos, that doesn't mean that I'm completely done with Modern Warfare 3 content. It's likely you'll still see a few Modern Warfare 3 videos sprinkled in between now and the release of Black Ops 6. I just really wanted to get this final review up, and with that out of the way, let's dive into this, and let's address the big elephant in the room. And this is by far the #1 piece of criticism that I see directed toward Modern Warfare 3, and that is, this game is just a DLC for Modern Warfare 2. It's a glorified DLC, it's a $70 DLC, and with this topic, there are absolutely elements of this that I agree with. Now, I did discuss this in part 1 of this final review series, and in that, I mentioned that gameplay-wise, I totally disagree with this statement. Modern Warfare 3 plays very drastically different from Modern Warfare 2. In fact, within the context of the Call of Duty franchise, I would say the gameplay design philosophies were polar opposites with Modern Warfare 2 compared to Modern Warfare 3. So from a gameplay perspective, which I care about most, I would say no, Modern Warfare 3 does not play like a DLC for Modern Warfare 2. However, I do agree with elements of this, and I do agree that this is an area that really significantly held this game back from reaching its true potential. So this game had the same awful user interface as Modern Warfare 2. This is something that we were complaining about throughout the entire life cycle of Modern Warfare 2, and they made basically no improvements to this, or very few improvements to this, from Modern Warfare 2 into Modern Warfare 3. We also had Carry Forward, which did have some positives, and I talked about that in the first video as well, but Carry Forward also came with downsides. When you have the same operator skins and weapons and attachments and many other assets as literally the previous game that you were just playing, there's definitely a lack of a new game feel with Modern Warfare 3. It didn't really have its own unique art style or art direction, and while the game played very different, it didn't distinguish itself visually from Modern Warfare 2. In fact, just as an example of that, if you showed me a clip of a Modern Warfare 2 gun on a Modern Warfare 2 map in Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, since there was carry forward for both guns as well as certain maps, honestly, it would take me a couple seconds to tell you which game is which when you show me these images. If I look closely enough, I can figure it out, but you would have to look closely to figure that out. Now, in saying that, the moment you actually watch some gameplay, you see the person moving around, you see gunfights taking place, it becomes way more obvious which game is which, because they do play very different. But there was absolutely a lack of that new game feel when it came to the visuals and the heads-up display, for instance, in the game when you were actually in a match. On top of that, just circling back to this carry forward a little bit, while on the positive side, it was consumer friendly in the sense that the skins that you bought in Modern Warfare 2, they maintain their value over multiple Call of Duty games, which we've never seen before in Call of Duty. At the same time, I really didn't like that right at the launch of Modern Warfare 3, we had tons and tons of wacky out there skins from Modern Warfare 2. And it's the same skins that I was looking at over the past year with Modern Warfare 2 already. It didn't have that typical tone that a Call of Duty game will have at launch that is very unified and feels like a brand new game with a unified tone and vision. I of course expect that to degrade over time as they add more silly skins over time, because that's just what they do in Call of Duty. But at launch for a Call of Duty, I generally like seeing a really cohesive art style at least, and I just wasn't seeing that at launch for this game. And I think that's one of the downsides of carry forward, at least in my eyes. Now, on top of that, with them carrying everything forward, I found that the attachment selection, since they carry forward attachments as well, it got way overcomplicated, and it was just an absolute mess. You had so many attachments in the game that were very similar to each other. They filled essentially the same role, but they had very slightly different stat changes, and it just felt very unnecessarily complex when it came to this. And most of that unnecessary complexity came from the fact that they carried forward the Modern Warfare 2 attachments, while ensuring that Modern Warfare 3 had its own very unique set of attachments to play with as well. Now, at the very least, when it came to this complexity, having advanced stats was a nice step forward from Modern Warfare 2, so it did help us at least kind of parse through those attachments and find out which ones were actually best. But at the end of the day, that didn't really solve the issue, it just made it a little bit easier to deal with. Additionally, when it came to the Modern Warfare 2 guns carrying over into Modern Warfare 3, especially early on in this game's life cycle, with the way they balance things, most of the Modern Warfare 2 guns were just not viable choices compared to the Modern Warfare 3 guns. Like, I'm not surprised that they wanted to make sure that the Modern Warfare 3 guns would stand out a little bit compared to the Modern Warfare 2 ones, because they want you using the new and exciting things. But at the same time, I do feel the gap between those was just way too wide early on. These days, things have gotten better. They've definitely buffed up a lot of the Modern Warfare 2 guns and fixed much of the visual recoil and stuff that those had. And I would say most of the Modern Warfare 2 guns are at least viable now, but there's definitely still some pretty bad ones in there that never did get fixed to the point where I would even consider them to be viable choices in this game. Next up on the It's Just a DLC topic, at launch, there were 0 original maps in Modern Warfare 3. Instead, we got remasters of the 16 launch maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 from way back in the day. And while I personally thought it was pretty cool and nostalgic to be playing on those maps, at the end of the day, there were 0 original maps for this game. And that absolutely is a point against Modern Warfare 3 as well. Ideally, you'd want to see mainly brand new original maps so it feels like a brand new original game. And then finally, just another little point here on the topic of It's Just a DLC. One big thing that I found frustrating is the firing range. Throughout the entire life cycle of Modern Warfare 3, there was quite a bit of criticism directed at the firing range and how it was handled, and there was plenty of feedback provided on how something like that could improve. Yet, when Modern Warfare 3 launched, I was quite disappointed to find that the firing range was essentially the exact same thing, at least feature-wise. It was the same thing that we were used to in Modern Warfare 2, and it's just things like that that I found to be disappointing. So absolutely, in this negative section, I can sympathize with the It's Just a DLC argument, at least when we're talking about visual identity with the game, as well as the lack of original maps. Next up, while the post-launch support for the 6v6 game mode was incredible this time around, the same definitely can't be said for the other multiplayer modes like War, Ground War, and 2v2 gunfights. When it came to the War game mode, I was excited that they brought that back. I really enjoyed that in CoD World War II. It was a nice change of pace sort of game mode, and I thought it was really interesting, and I honestly quite like both War maps that they ended up bringing to the game. However, we only ever saw 2, one at launch and then one at the launch of Season 2. Beyond that point, there was 0 support for the War game mode. Similarly, for Ground War and Invasion, the battle maps, we didn't see any post-launch support for these whatsoever. We were just stuck with the maps we had at launch. And I would say the fact that there was no post-launch support for this one hurt even more, because at the very least, it seems they could have brought forward some of the Modern Warfare 2 battle maps. They did carry forward a few of these 6v6 maps. Why couldn't they also do that with a couple of the battle maps, just to fill out the rotation a little bit for those that are into Ground War and Invasion? And then also with 2v2, there was very little support for that as well compared to previous years with that mode. And here's the deal. For me, I prefer 6v6. All I really want to play is 6v6. I'm not really interested in playing those other game modes. However, they are a part of the game, and I'm sure many people bought the game, at least somewhat because those other modes existed. And therefore, if you're going to put them in the game, there should at least be a bare minimum level of support, and I don't feel they even reached that. Additionally, since we are talking about other modes outside of 6v6, which is where most of my attention is, I do at least want to give a brief mention in this video about the campaign. I felt the campaign was not very good at all. While they were an interesting idea, I felt like they leaned way too heavily into those open combat missions, and I think the campaign would have been way better with just 1 or 2 of those. Also, just in general, the length of the campaign was way too short, and the story was not great. And I do feel this is another area that held this game back and held its reputation back as well. After that, let's just dive into a bunch of random things that I've got jotted down here. One of them is inconsistent seasonal content. If you look at the total amount of content that we got post-launch, it was very impressive this time around for Modern Warfare 3, and I've got no complaints about that. However, I didn't like how inconsistent they were from one season to the next. Like Season 3, we got 6 6v6 maps. That was amazing. So many maps in one season. But then for Season 5 and 6 combined, we got 3 6v6 maps that weren't variants. And personally, I would definitely prefer seeing a lot more consistency and spreading that out a little bit more. So each season has a certain minimum level of expectation when it comes to content, especially map content. Another thing I wasn't a fan of with this game, although this isn't really new with this Call of Duty game, it's been around for a little while, this is inconsistent connection quality. I know for many people they had constant packet bursts and stutters to the point where the game was almost unplayable. I saw some clips of people experiencing that, and it looked really bad. For me, I was lucky enough for that to not happen too often. I did get the odd bad match here or there, but for the most part, things ran fairly smooth for me. However, my big issue was inconsistent ping. One game, I'd have a 20 millisecond ping. The next, I'd be at 70 milliseconds. The one after that, I'd be at 90 milliseconds. And it would just be bouncing all over the place. And it was so inconsistent with how the connection experience felt. And for one of the biggest FPS franchises in the world, that really shouldn't be happening. On top of this, and something that may or may not be related, at least in my case it didn't appear to be related, but for some people maybe it is, this is the fact that Modern Warfare 3 introduced forced texture streaming. Now, this is more likely a franchise-wide decision rather than something that Sledgehammer decided to just introduce into Modern Warfare 3, but I'm personally not a big fan of it. I think there should always be an option to have all of the high-resolution textures downloaded on your system, so there's no requirement for extra bandwidth being eaten up in order to get those textures displaying on your screen. And don't get me wrong, I think having texture streaming as an option is excellent for those that don't have a whole lot of space to store high-resolution texture packs, but in my eyes, that should be an option, not something that's forced on you. After that, as we continue to go through these just random notes that I've got, spawns. Now, interestingly, I also put spawns in the What They Did Right video, and the reason behind that is I feel Sledgehammer has the best handle over the modern spawn system that was introduced with Modern Warfare 2019. And as a result, I feel they deserve some credit there. Like, it could be so much worse. I feel the spawns were way worse in Modern Warfare 2. However, in saying that, I still feel like they're just not great. And there's especially certain modes and map combinations where the spawns are pretty bad still. And therefore, I feel it is worth a mention here because that can absolutely impact how the game plays, depending on the map and mode that you're playing, of course. Then let's talk about armory credits a little bit. This is a new system that they introduced with Modern Warfare 3. And with this, at launch, just in case you guys forgot, you couldn't unlock all of the playable content. So all of the guns and the equipment and the score streaks, you couldn't unlock those without earning armory credits. You could reach that maximum level for your military ranks and you still wouldn't have everything unlocked. So in order to unlock those, you had to complete daily challenges, and then you had to also get wins. For every win that you got, you would get an armory credit. And for me, I'm not a big fan of locking launch playable content behind armory credits. I think all of the playable content, all of the class items, all of the score streaks, that should all be available within your military ranks. And then after that, I'm totally on board with armory credits for like post-launch content that you missed from previous seasons, or for various cosmetic items, for instance. I think that's totally fine. It was mainly the fact that various playable items were locked behind that, and it did take quite a long time to unlock every playable item in the game. And looking back at it toward the end of the life cycle, you might have forgot how much of a grind it actually was at launch to unlock every single playable class item in the game through this armory credit system. For many people, this took several weeks, when normally this would take either like a few days or maybe a week for some people. So while I think it was an interesting thing they tried out, and I think there's some potential there for the future, I didn't really like how they handled the armory credit system overall. Next up with Modern Warfare 3, there were lots of little bugs and a lot of new ones that were introduced with this game as well. And that does happen every year with Call of Duty. I feel like every Call of Duty struggles with its own issues and its own bugs, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be pointing them out here. So things like the latency widget just being NA for, I believe, an entire season. That was kind of frustrating, especially for console players where we can't just open our scoreboard and see what our ping is. If we wanted to check our ping, we had to go into the start menu and then scroll through a few options in order to see what our ping was in that game, and that was just frustrating to deal with for as long as we had to deal with that. Also, for many people, there were various guns or attachments that just wouldn't unlock for them, and it was bugged out. There was nothing they could do to unlock it. On top of that, there's various attachments that weren't actually applying in game. I'm looking at the Jack Jawbreaker kit, for instance, on the KV Broadside. For, I believe it was months, you could put a muzzle attachment on that gun. It would take up one of your attachment slots. If you went in the firing range, that muzzle was on there, it was working properly. But when you load it into an actual match, that muzzle was nowhere to be found. It wasn't on your gun. You weren't getting the effects of it. And that one took a long time for them to get on top of and fix. Additionally, at one point, they broke a lot of the animations, so there were weird overlapping animations and stuff that were happening. Some audio bugs took place as well throughout the game's life cycle. Just lots of little things sprinkled in there throughout the year. To my knowledge, every single one of them ended up getting resolved at some point, but some of them did go on for a while. Then let's talk about some clear balancing issues that were just never resolved. Now, overall, they did do a ton of weapon balancing, a ton of perk balancing, vest balancing, but I still feel there were many things that were just left ignored, essentially. So, like, there's still a good handful of useless Modern Warfare 2 guns. Like, there's just no reason to use those particular Modern Warfare 2 guns because they are significantly outclassed by all of the other guns in that weapon class. There's also various perks that I just feel never saw any love, and they were totally useless. Like the threat identification system, for instance, which is the super watered down version of High Alert that relies on the enemy using a certain type of attachment, like a laser or a thermal sight, for instance. That perk was incredibly weak compared to everything it was paired against. Also, things like the LR detector, the signal jammer. There's just a good handful of items in this game where I could pull them out and be like, why would anybody ever use this over the alternatives? And I can't really think of any good reasons for it. After that, let's talk about footsteps a little bit, and more specifically, covert sneakers and the ninja vest. In this game, covert sneakers and ninja were absolutely crutches, which I also mentioned in the What They Did Right video because I appreciate the fact that those crutches at least existed in the game because I think the gameplay would be much worse off without them. But at the same time, I just felt like they never really nailed the balance with default footstep audio. To me, the solution to covert sneakers being a crutch is quite clear, and that is not to nerf covert sneakers or anything. That is to look at why everybody is using covert sneakers and target the root cause of that issue. And the root cause is default footstep audio is too loud, so if you're not using covert sneakers, you feel as though you're at too much of a disadvantage if you're moving around the map. Now, I know they did do some footstep tuning throughout the game's life cycle, but in my eyes, they just didn't quite find that perfect balance with base footstep audio to the point where people would feel confident branching outside of covert sneakers, even in respawn game modes. And so that is an area that I feel belongs in this video. I think it's something that they just didn't quite get nailed down, and it would have made a big difference to open up that boot category more and allow for a lot more variety in there, especially in the higher skilled lobbies where everybody's got a headset and they're listening very carefully for any footstep audio. And that's where we're going to leave it for this random miscellaneous section where I'm just kind of throwing in a bunch of random points. Next, let's talk about map rotation a little bit. This is another issue I had throughout a lot of the life cycle of this game. In the game's current state, it's in a much better place now, but we had to deal with this for quite some time. Something I noticed with this game after a couple seasons is many of the maps that were in the game were simply missing from rotation, at least for various game modes, and therefore it was kind of frustrating knowing that there were a ton of maps in this game, but you only ever had access to a handful of those maps within your preferred game mode. Like for me, Domination's my preferred game mode, and you would think a pretty standard mode like Domination would include every 6v6 map in the game, and that just wasn't the case for a huge part of this game's life cycle. And even to this day, there are a few maps in the game that I haven't seen in literally months. I haven't seen them pop up, not even once. And that's obviously frustrating because you're not taking advantage of the full amount of map content that's available in the game. And another issue that kind of ties in with this is map variants. Gotta say, after dealing with map variants for a year with Modern Warfare 3, I'm just not a fan, and outside of specific seasonal maps, I just hope map variants don't return. Like, I'm totally fine if they have a Christmas variant map, or like a Halloween, or a St. Patrick's Day variant map. That's cool, I'm totally on board with those. But in Modern Warfare 3, we just saw tons of crazy map variants, and for a big portion of the life cycle, this just diluted the map pool a lot, Again, this is something they did resolve, and now those variant maps are relegated to their own playlist in Quick Play. But it's just one of those things where, at least for me, it just felt super unnecessary to have these variant maps, and I was totally fine never playing on them. In fact, I prefer not playing on the variant maps for the most part. The one exception is Skid Row, because it has better lighting than Skid Row. So that's map rotation. Next up, I want to talk about a huge missed opportunity. And I know it's a little strange to criticize them for something they didn't do rather than things that they did do with the game, but this is one of those things where I fully expected this to come at some point throughout this game's life cycle, and it would have made a huge difference in my enjoyment of the game. And this is Specialist. And I'm not talking about like specialist abilities. I'm talking about the Specialist Strike package that was introduced in the original Modern Warfare 3, which is one of the reasons we kind of expected it for this version of Modern Warfare 3. And this is where you have the ability to sacrifice earning your kill streak rewards, and instead, as you go on a streak in the same life, you earn more perks until you get your Specialist bonus, which gives you all of the perks in the game. And then, of course, if you die, it resets that, and you have to do it all over again. This is one of those areas where, for Modern Warfare 2, I can see why it wasn't really viable to make this work because of their horrible perk charging system that they had in that game. But in Modern Warfare 3, it could have worked. They could have made it work. And I know you can make the argument like, well, you can't wear multiple pairs of boots. First off, challenge accepted, yes I can. And second, I don't really care what the perk tiers are called. I don't care if they're called gloves or boots or gear. That naming system alone shouldn't have held them back from bringing an amazing feature to Modern Warfare 3. And also a feature that many of us were just begging for throughout the entire life cycle of this game. In my eyes, this really would have pushed the game forward by a noticeable margin, and also the replayability of the game would have shot through the roof. At least for me, that's my opinion. I really do like Specialist, and I'm so sad that we never got to experience that in this game. And this brings us to the final section of the video, and you're going to see this section on every one of these final review videos of what they did wrong in the past, 5 years now? This is, of course, their modern matchmaking system and disbanding lobbies. I'm not going to dive too deep into this since I've done that way too much in the past already. And I will also say, in the game's current state, the matchmaking doesn't actually feel that bad. And I think that's because the player count has dropped off quite a bit. And the lower the player count, the less the matchmaking system is able to do as far as finding similarly skilled players, if you're an outlier player, that is. So at the moment, based on my recent experience with the game, the matchmaking isn't all that bad. But for much of the life cycle, I just felt it was way too strict. And while it was nice to get the white papers on that, where they went into a lot more detail with how they handle this, that was more of a Call of Duty thing than a Modern Warfare 3 thing. At the end of the day, I still don't like how they handle matchmaking in this game. I'm fine with SBMM existing. I'm not really happy with the state of SBMM in modern Call of Duties, though. Especially since you can never see where you stand or track your improvement over time within that system. Now, on top of that, and more importantly, disbanding lobbies. This is something we've been dealing with since the launch of Modern Warfare 2019, and in my eyes, this is the #1 worst thing that they have done with the Call of Duty franchise as far as like conscious design decisions. And I've gone over the reasons many times in the past, but some of the big ones, just the general sense of community isn't there anymore. You get into a lobby, you play against those people, and after that game, you have no option to stay in that lobby. You have no option for that rematch. There's no time to form any sort of friendships or rivalries, whether that's using game chat or not. Even for people that don't use game chat, with persistent lobbies, there was always that sense of rivalry just with the gameplay itself. You would find that particular player that obviously became your rival, and there'd be a lot of back and forth over multiple games where you're trying to adapt to their play style while they're adapting to your play style. And then sometimes the teams get shuffled and you get to play with that player, and oftentimes the chemistry was there with that player. Again, not even using game chat, just through the gameplay alone, you form that sort of chemistry with other players because your play styles just mesh really well together. And in many cases, that's how friendships are formed. And I'm talking real friendships, not just in-game friendships. All of that is essentially gone with disbanding lobbies. And then on top of that, connection consistency. That's one of my big complaints with this game, and much of that would have gone away if we just had persistent lobbies, where once you get into a lobby, you're playing on that server with that consistent connection experience until you decide to leave that lobby. As it is right now, it rolls the dice for you. It takes that choice away from the player. There's no option for a rematch. There's no option to stay and play with people that you had fun playing with and against. Apparently, the game knows what's best for you, so it pulls you out and it searches automatically every time. And I also feel that's one of the biggest reasons that modern SBMM is hated as much as it is in Call of Duty. If we had persistent lobbies, I don't think it would be as frustrating because there'd be a lot more consistency on a match-to-match basis. And there we go. That's all the detail I'm going to get into with that. Obviously, I have made entire videos talking about that in the past, diving into even more detail than that. But with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video on what I didn't like with Modern Warfare 3 this time around. Now, overall, like I said, this is my favorite Call of Duty game in the modern era. Overall, I think they did a very good job with what they were given with Modern Warfare 3. But obviously, that doesn't mean it wasn't without issues, and it was absolutely not a perfect game either. And of course, all of these are just my opinions, and I'm really curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What did you not like about Modern Warfare 3 throughout the past year? And then what are your final thoughts on this game as well? Was it a generally good game for you, a bad game for you? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Friendly mosquito active. 50 seconds remain.
We were laughing last week about how Trump is obsessed with the presidency of William McKinley all of a sudden. We're trying to figure out what it's about. I think it's two things. It's one, that he's literally obsessed with the assassination attempt. That rally that he was at there yesterday with Elon Musk was at the site of where that shooter was. He returns and like they're making him into this martyr that wasn't martyred.
They call it exposure therapy, folks.
Right.
Imagine JFK like driving around Dealey Plaza. I return. Take it around one more. Fight, fight, fight.
He could have some spiritual connection to JFK. I mean, like, if I were to think of, like, if I were running for president and there was an assassination attempt on me and I had some spiritual awakening about who I'd want to model of presidents who were either assassinated or there was an attempt on their life, I'd go Abraham Lincoln first, then I'd go JFK. William McKinley might be down the list.
Teddy Roosevelt's the guy who continued giving a speech after assassination time, actually taking a bullet. Trump got skinned and ended his speech, so I guess he can't really make that comparison.
He can't. And we'll play his explanation about what he said about his shoes to Laura Ingraham in just a bit, but this was him over the weekend going on Larry Kudlow's show, Fox Business, talking about how he wants to make the country great again, MAGA, make America great again. That's make America healthy again.
Right. Yeah, Trump doesn't actually say that one. That's just for the guys that are pretending he's left wing.
Right. That's for the RFK cranks who want to do an Amanda Bynes impersonation. It's a deep cut. Anyway, Larry Kudlow. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Trump on with Larry Kudlow. William McKinley.
When you start charging people tariffs, our country was the richest when we were doing tariffs. That was the richest. This was in the 1880s and 90s. We were if you go back to the dates and you look, our country was so rich, we didn't know what to do with all the money we had. They had committees, the Great Tariff Committee of 1887. This was a committee that was set up to, like, where do you give all this? What do you do with all the money?
William McKinley.
That was under
William McKinley. He was the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Yeah. The McKinley Tariff of 1890.
He was a big tariff.
I read the whole biography. It was 600 pages.
He made money, and Roosevelt spent it. So, Roosevelt gets credit for being a great president. McKinley was actually a great president. He was assassinated. You know why he was assassinated? Because he was charging all these countries money, probably. But we were so rich. We had so much money we didn't. They had committees set up on what to do with all the money. Wouldn't that be nice if we had that now?
Wouldn't it be nice? Okay, he brought up McKinley for a second time. We'll unpack this in a sec. He keeps bringing up McKinley. This is one of my favorite obsessions of his lately. Again in the Kudlow interview, he wants to make America McKinley again.
I love that. This guy, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That the best time in history for the economy was the goddamn Gilded Age.
That's perfect for him.
Yeah, sure, man.
Concentrated wealth that led to a massive Great Depression. Recession some decades later.
Also, like, pretty violent labor struggle.
Yeah.
In the, and others, like...
Child labor was still legal at this point, so women did not have the franchise by this point either. This is the vision that Trump wants to sell to America. I don't know if William McKinley is a kitchen table issue, but here he goes. ×2 in this interview.
We can get to almost no deficit almost immediately.
Wow.
Let's talk. You're right.
Larry, one thing.
Republicans agree?
We've treated the world nice for a long time. We've been run by stupid people that allowed us to get into this situation. And it's about time these other countries play a little ball with us. And all I want is fairness. And if they're fair, we have something that we've never seen in this country till, I mean, literally the 1880s, the 1890s. But that was the time, you hear about wealth, but we were giving a lot away for a long time. That was the time we were the richest. We were so rich. And it was all based on toll. There was no income tax. It was all based on countries coming. And if you look at some of McKinley's words, he was very beautiful in words. We will not allow the pillage of our country. And if you're going to take our jobs, and you're going to do this, they've got to pay for it. And all I'm saying is that we've got to pay for it.
You've talked about it.
Okay, so he is obsessed with this tariff situation. Let's pull up these polls from Michigan. I found this interesting. Saw this morning. Because for the first time that I can remember, honestly, the Democrat that's running for president, I guess maybe Obama probably beat McCain on the economy because of the crash in 2008. I have to go back, but it's very rare that Democrats are polling within the range of Republicans.
Well, it's a hard question because like the economy is one thing, but Obama did beat Romney off of the bleachers and you're a rich guy with a car elevator type of thing. But I don't know if that he would have pulled better on the economy because of that.
I don't know either. It's just generally as a rule, it's interesting to me to see this dynamic. This is from Michigan. 2/3 of Michigan voters, the Detroit News did a survey that also had Harris up by 2 or 3 points in Michigan. 2/3 of likely Michigan voters say Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's plan to impose a 20% tariff on all goods shipped into the country would lead to increased prices in the products they buy. So as Trump goes out on Kudlow and talks about he wants to be McKinley 2.0 because of his tariff plan, this is not playing well in the states that he needs to win. Here we go. His economic advantage. He's declining. So he, in August, late August, was at 52% on the economic advantage. 5.5% did not know. Kamala Harris was under 40% at 39. She's gained 6 points, cut into the don't know. Trump stays at 52%. And that's in part because he keeps pushing this tariff thing, which, like, people know is not popular. Tariffs are not a way, primarily, to raise revenue for the federal government, buddy.
No, it's a way to try to encourage growth of your industries. And everybody knows
the imported goods more expensive. Like, this is not, taxing the rich is the way to cut into the deficit. That's what they never talk about with the business press. Kudlow would never bring that up. But because at the end of the day, they cut taxes for the rich so that they can then talk about the deficit as a way to cut social programs like Social Security and Medicare and other things that keep people, like, Social Security keeps somewhere around 60% of our elderly out of poverty. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that they want to cut into. So Trump has this red herring of tariffs that isn't even really popular, which is not an effective means in 2024 to raise revenue for the federal government by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's the classic capitalist way of look over there who's taking, you're like, who actually offshore jobs? Who actually benefits from all that stuff? It's people like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and the people who paid for J.D. Vance's way. It's just, but the 1890s, this is from American PBS, American Experience. While the rich wore diamonds, many wore rags. In 1890, 11 million of the nation's 12 million families, let me read this slowly. In 1890, 11 million of the nation's 12 million families earned less than $1,200 per year. Of this group, the average annual income was $380, well below the poverty line. To those who worked in Carnegie's mills and in the nation's factories and sweatshops, the lives of the millionaires seemed a modest indeed. An economist in 1879 noted, quote, a widespread feeling of unrest and bleeding revolution. So I think like Trump maybe not have the maybe read more than the Hoover Institution's biography of William McKinley.
Yes.
To get a sense of what it was actually like back then, and like the tenement houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, he could go to the tenement museum, but I don't know if Trump, unless he's going to Cipriani's, would be caught dead lower than 14th Street.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
We're losing Charlie.
Tossing Semtex.
UAV in the area.
Loading fresh mag.
The enemy holds 2 objectives. Secure those for securing objective Alpha. Enemy UAV active.
Semtex up. Dropping mags. Loading fresh mag.
Enemies taking Alpha.
One down.
Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back.
With recon overhead.
In the area.
Dusted us. Dropping mag.
Enemies taking Bravo. Land the UAV online. Objective Bravo is compromised.
I need air support now.
This is Vulture 6-1 solid copy. Be advised, the UAV is exiting the AO.
Watch out, thermite.
Securing objective Bravo.
Good hit.
We're taking Bravo.
I'm someone who didn't say the words too often, didn't get famous for spitting on that thing, but I'm not the person that we're talking about today. The girl who did that is.
One move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time.
Oh, you gotta give it that pop and spit on that thing.
Tua girl made a podcast, and I did not know that, but now I watched it, so you don't have to. But you should.
I don't know why that got as big as it did.
The situation. I did lose brain cells watching it, I'm not gonna lie to you, so if you're going to continue to watch this video, accept the fact that it will be a few IQ points dumber by the end of this. But I also wanted to take down some of the points that I've learned from that episode, because I went to the comment section, and I gotta say, some people have really been feeling it with this podcast. I mean, maybe I've been wrong the whole time. Look at some of these comments, guys. The podcast is called Talk to It. I did not mean to spit on it. I'm so sorry. I guess I spit on it. Thank you, Jesus. If you want to know what was behind the brainchild, behind this whole, like, we should give her a platform, it's your boy Jake Paul, Team 10, it's Everyday Bro, is the person who commissioned this to be made. So he funded this. He said, I like this, and that got made. So I've seen people say, you know, we made the wrong person famous, and I gotta be honest, I have nothing against her. She reminds me of Ghetto Sandy Cheeks.
I'm the reason they call it Bikini Bottom.
I find her amusing, to be honest. But I think there's a case to be made in how fast people get famous and how ridiculous it is sometimes to hold on to literally the one thing that people know you for. I understand people can expand, but this just makes other people want to try and get famous very quickly. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a good look for the public. But anyway, look, I mean, this is the top comment. I'm an 89-year-old gay Holocaust survivor. I don't know if I can say half that. And after listening to the Talk to a podcast, I managed to overcome my past trauma. Thank you, Miss Hawk. I was a miserable alcoholic until I discovered Talk to a podcast. Nice. My phone was at 1% when this was posted. I unplugged my grandma's life support to charge it. This podcast has truly changed my life. And my favorite, currently fighting on the front lines in Ukraine, and everyone has called truce to watch episode 1 of Talk to a Podcast. Amen. I actually like this one too. My clothes are off right now. Well, I mean, with such rave reviews, how could it be anything bad? I think the fact that the first podcast guest, her name is Whitney Cummings, spit on that thing, and Miss Cummings, good stuff, guys. No, she's a comedian. She pretty much talks to the Talk to a Girl and tells her about how her fame is going to be and stuff. They also talk about their beavers. Look, if you don't want to subscribe to me, then I'll cry, and that's fine. But you should really just think about it, because I sit through this, and I don't know why. Okay, let's just take a look at it. Talk to a podcast with Haley Bailey, or whatever her name is.
Come on, Haley, it's not that bad. All right, it's time to get out of the bed and quit running.
I don't know who that girl is, but the first one was the one next to her. She was like the other spit on that thing, but she didn't say nothing. She was the silent spitter. I don't know who this girl is, though. Yeah, so this is how they start the episode. It features her sitting down, almost like an intro segment, like Jimmy Fallon or something. Jimmy Fallon Show, starring Jimmy Fallon with special guest, this black guy. You know, it's very cool. She's sitting on a bed. She's holding Matt Rife hostage in her hands. Man, she got a cut out of Matt Rife. That's how life goes, I guess, some days. Just two people. So she then ends the podcast, the intro by saying, I want you to get to know me better than Hawk Tour, while ironically calling the podcast Talk Tour. And that's all we ever know about this person. I understand. It's not even her fault. She's trying to expand out of the whole bubble here. I get it. I don't have nothing against her. I like the way she talks. I think she's candid. I think she's almost painfully herself at times, which is good.